Hey guys, what's going on? OGnick here bringing you guys another video, and in today's video I'm bringing you guys a survival guide part 2. And the reason I'm bringing you guys another part to this mini series, I'd call it, is because I noticed in my last video I really talked about the beginning and middle parts of the survival run and my tips. I never really went into detail in the DZ section when you get to that point, and how to craft, which landmarks to take down, where the best places to find division tech, where to extract, and how to encounter other players. Now, in my opinion, I always play PvP, so maybe some of my information in terms of the player versus player aspect will not apply to you, but just know all my PvE stuff will apply to you guys, I promise. Now, once you enter the DZ, my biggest advice is to head to the DZ01 subway. This is the subway where in the regular game, in the regular DZ, Rourke's a boss is at. I suggest going there first because when you're there, basically there are 3 division tech crates, each containing, I believe, 2 division tech, which is great for crafting your weapons, and you can craft your flare gun so you can finally extract towards the end. Now this is a great area because there's red and purple enemies, there's no elites. Not only that, I feel like it is a great area because there's also weapon caches, and I believe there's also a gear cache down there, along with some medicine and fabric and electronics down there. So it's a really good area to get you going with high-end materials, medicine, and also, most importantly, division tech. Now, I always suggest spawning in or jumping into the DZ through the DZ02 entrances. I feel like those are the easiest. Those are the entrances on the right side is the one entrance next to the library, and on the left side is kind of next to it's next to extraction, one of the extractions you can actually go to, and it's an extremely good DZ location because sometimes you're lucky and your antivals will be south. Now often they'll be more north, but they are at times at south, and if they're south of you, that's extremely quick to get to, and it's not something you have to get to right away if you're kind of rushing. Now, what I suggest doing after you go to the subway and you pick up all the gear, I suggest going to the DZ02 safe house. But before you go to the DZ02 safe house, if you don't know, that contaminated area, which in the regular DZ, right behind the safe house when you jump over the 2 gates, and they have a regular, usually they have a crate, and that's where you get gear seal cache. Instead, there's a division tech crate. So go ahead and open that. Even if you have 6 division tech, it doesn't hurt to have more weapon rolls. And if you're in PvP, I know it's sabotage, but make sure no other player can get it. And I play dirty, I'm not gonna lie, but it gets the job done, and that's why I'm able to win time in and time out in the DZ. Now, as far as crafting weapons, I feel, for me, the best, I guess, combo you can have, it both depends on the gear you have currently and what you're trying to build for. I always suggest at the best end-piece gear slot you could have at holster would be a decent solid rolls, which I don't even really look at because they're going to be better rolls than anything else you can get, but with armor specifically, and sturdy. Sturdy is absolutely amazing in the survival, and especially in the DZ, with the higher hitting enemies, and especially the hunters. It is hands down, you want a sturdy holster. Even if it doesn't have armor onto it, you still want a sturdy holster, because that extra armor really comes in handy. Even in PvP, even if you get into a situation in PvP, it still can come in handy. Now, I also like to combo that with a robust chest piece, personally, because the robust chest piece also gives you more armor and cover. And so it gives you about 25% armor buff while on cover. It makes your toughness jump up exponentially. And it really gives you an advantage, especially in the PvP aspect, to where you're able to hold them off and have a strict advantage over the PvE guys and be able to hold your own. As far as the mask, it's you don't want to be using your medkits really, so I kind of like to go with either a I like the rehabilitated, I believe, one, which is the one where you gain healing back when you're in a status effect. I like that one. Gloves, obviously you want to try to go for savage, but most importantly go for marksman rifle damage / AR or LMG damage. That's I like to go for. Always go for marksman rifle damage though, as your marksman rifle is your greatest ally in PvE, and it can definitely be your greatest ally in PvP if you're able to land that headshot. Bag, of course, I like to go with specialized, but resourceful and stuff like that, depending on your skills, is definitely something you can go with. Knee pads, honestly, just look for a roll with armor, enemy armor damage, decent resistances, and at best, whatever you need at that moment, whether it's firearms or stamina. I personally never put anything into electronics besides my holster because I feel like it's not necessary. And a lot of people underestimate these, but don't be afraid to use your gear for crafting stamina or firearm mods. I found that if I have a position where I have really, really god roll blue gear or purple gear, I don't want to get rid of it and waste my credits on a piece of high-end gear that could be electronics, no armor, no ammo or anything, So what I tend to like to do is actually have it set up to where I just craft a bunch of those, and it gives me buffs on my weapons. Or what I usually do, I usually don't craft firearms all that often, but I craft a lot of stamina ones, and it really outweighs the value of stamina you get for a high end, but you still keep all the great bonuses on your purple or blue gear that is god roll. And that's the thing too, guys. What you guys understand is high end gear is valuable, yes, but if you're just not getting the rolls, don't keep crafting it. Get the stamina mods and everything before, because here's the thing: purple gear is still really good, and if it's god roll, it has armor, it has health, it has the good roll you need, whether it be stamina or firearms. It has all of that. Why waste a lot of stuff on trying to better it by just a few points when you can get a mod that makes it so much better in the end? That's how I personally look. As far as weapons, what I choose to go with is the pretty obvious decision, and that is the M44 sniper rifle. The reason a lot of people go with this choice, and I feel like you should as well, is because the ability for it to have high marksman rifle headshot damage, the ability to have higher base damage than I believe any of the other sniper rifles you can craft, and also being able to have a weapon that can 1 to 2 shot purples and 2 to 3 shot normal elites, not the tankier versions. Those obviously would take more shots. Is just such a valuable weapon, and even in PvP, if you're able to land the headshot, it is devastating to a player. Trust me. I've done it both in times where the player we're just starting out, everyone's running, the helicopter crashes, freaking out, people are dying, and then I'll do it in a DZ, and it is just as powerful. You just have to be able to land your shots. Now, I personally don't use it in PvP if I don't have to, but it is nice to be able to be accurate and land that shot, because then if you pull out your assault rifle, it's over, okay? So, M44. Now, as far as the talents, depending on your gear, you may or may not be able to unlock a lot of the talents. So what I suggest doing is mainly focus on the 3rd slot and look at the other talents after and see the requirements and see where you're at gear-wise and see if you can make a few changes, or if you'll be able to craft some more in a little bit to get to that point. Always try to get like a destructive or a brutal on a sniper. Especially brutal. Brutal is insane, and destructive is maybe even more insane. I don't know. I'll have to test it. But try to get one of those, and if you can get both, great. Try to unlock both. You'll be hitting even harder. Now, as far as your primary, this will be the weapon you pull out when a player comes by, or if an NPC gets too close, or if it's just one of those things where there's purples, whatever, and you feel comfortable with your gear, and you just want to kind of run and gun it, make it quick. I personally always go with the ACR, the tactical ACR you can craft. Reason being is because it has a higher RPM and it has a better feel to me than the G36 personally. That's a preference thing. I was using the ACR in the real game for a while until I got my Lova, then recently my M4. So I kind of got used to ACR. That's just my preference. It's a very accurate weapon, and it has pretty good damage output. And it just tends to be the weapon I go with. LMGs are a good option as well. I just like going with the assault rifles because I like that enemy armor damage for PvP. I find I hit harder, and maybe this is just a placebo effect, or maybe, I don't know, I just didn't use the LMG that much. But personally, I just like the assault rifles, especially in the DZ where there's a lot of purple enemies and elites where they have armor. It's kind of nice to have, in my opinion. So that's why I tend to lean towards. And um, that's as far as talents. Again, destructive, responsive, brutal, things like that. They give you more damage. Also, determined in the third slot's really nice as well. I actually got an ACR in my last run I just did, and it was actually really nice to have those constant heals. Basically, I would get a guy down to a one shot with one of my sniper, and then I would just finish him off, a couple bullets, dead, and I would get my skills back quicker. That is a good tactic to use, guys. But that's just kind of what I was doing. Now, as far as attachments, it's kind of biased, I guess, on what you want. Obviously, on the sights, on the sniper rifle, I go for as much headshot damage as I possibly can. And on the mag, I go for a lot of crits and rate of fire. And on the assault rifles, I like to go for crit chance a lot, you know, because I'm trying to hit as hard as possible. Maybe I'm going about it the wrong way, but I don't know. On the muzzle, I go with the compensator. I really like the compensator. I feel like it is just one of those attachments that you can't go wrong with, and like almost every roll you'll have is good. So you always, every roll, you'll know your resources are being used well, and you don't have to worry too much. As far as the grip, depends on your weapons. If you're using LMG, go with real speed. If you're using a assault rifle, go with stability. And on a sniper, I actually go with crit damage if I can. Stuff like that. So that's my personal preference. I also like optimal range too, but that's my preference. Now, let's get into the aspect of landmarks. Now, this is what I meant where I was kind of talking about earlier about hot spots and kind of how I feel like this map, you have to know your locations. And I'm about to give you guys all of my favorite locations, the easiest locations to take out, and locations that you can quickly take out and get the most amount of bang for your buck in terms of your time used while fighting in the DZ. Now, the first landmark I usually take out is the sports kiosk, I think it's called. It's right next to TZO2 checkpoint or safe house. And the reason I go here a lot is because with the amount of cover that's in there, you don't realize when you're actually having to use cover to cover. It's been a while, guys, and we're not 1.3 anymore. When you're using cover to cover, there is so much cover to where you can go into one part of cover, pop your head out, get a couple shots off. When they start shooting there, quickly crawl over to a different spot where you get another vantage point, get a couple shots off, and I just keep doing that. Because every time you do that, they'll shoot to your most previous location. And so they won't know you switch your locations, you get free shots on. The reason I go there is because there's usually 1 to 2 regular LMB, the boss itself, a grenader, and then usually a heavy, which is one of those guys who have to kneel when they shoot kind of guys. The reason I go with them is because that heavy guy, he's not that hard to deal with, especially if you go at the top and shoot down. That's why I suggest, because when you have that high vantage point, you actually have easier time hitting headshots when they're in cover. So it's nice. It's a little pro tip. So that's kind of what I go with. Overall, the kiosk is just a really good area. I believe there are some division tech there, along with obviously the box, medicine, fabric, and a lot of other stuff that I think you'd like. Now, let's talk about the next spot. As far as other landmarks in DZ01 and 2, I like to take out the strip in the middle where the original DZ actually has a landmark, because if you lose the scaffolding and get a higher advantage point on the enemies, you have a greater chance of hitting headshots, and it's a relatively easy place to take out as long as you watch your back and you're just sure that no NPCs are coming to flank you on the scaffolding, and that no players are nearby. So keep popping them pulses and making sure that you have optimal range and can see pretty much side to side, and understand that players will probably be in that area most likely. And so you should make sure that you can hold them off and have a good vantage point as that well. The next area I like to really go to, and I've actually found has been really easy, is the cleaners little area on the left side in DZ02. The reason I like to go there is because in there's long hallways. between the entrances. So you're able to get really far away from the Rourke, and you can take out his bags one shot with the M44. So it's pretty easy to take that out, and definitely something I suggest doing. And you get actually a division tech, you get weapon cache, you get med kit. I believe you get you get healing stuff too between medicine and painkillers. You get so much gear there. It's relatively easy. So in that first DZ-01-2 spot, you got 3 easy landmarks. Now, what else I like to go to is the construction site in DZ-04. It's in, no, my bad, DZ-03. Because, again, there's a good amount of cover, and I don't go inside until I've killed everything. Because inside, there's not a lot of cover, but outside, there's so much cover and bigger stuff you can hide yourself behind and, like, run past real quick and to get to the other side to take into cover. So I really think that doing that is a really good option and something you should really take into consideration, because in that area, I like to stay outside the wall, but at a certain points, they will tend to rush you and try to get you off. So there's a lot of ways you can get out, and there's just so many options with it to take cover and to take it out one by one. And there's actually a lot of loot in it for food, weapon parts, medicine, and all that other stuff. There's actually a lot of stuff in there, so it's actually quite useful in that regard. As far as another spot, I really, really like taking out the Fired Crossroad area, which is basically Midtown. Because it's honestly, there's like 3 or 4 NPCs there, and it's pretty much grenaders, and like there's a grenader boss, which is like the tankier version who can't throw grenades, and just a regular Riker, and it's very easy. It's a very simple, easy takeout, and it actually counts for survival cache, so it's easy survival cache. So right there alone, guys, that's 5 survival caches. Now, as far as how to get a 6th one, what I personally do is, if I am taking out areas and I know no one's else called an extraction, what I tend to do is call an extraction. Now, this is dependent on how many people are in your server at that time. Like, if there's like 5-6 people in the DZ at once, then I usually call the extraction, because I know they will be coming for me, and I know that at least one of them will most likely have a survival cache. Now, it may not be guaranteed, but there is a good chance. Now, this is where you have to be careful, because there's a really good opportunity for you to get jumped, have a big PvP fight, and then get everyone massacred by the hunters, because multiple hunters will spawn. So you have to be really conscious and understanding of your surroundings at a certain point. So you have 1 to 2 options when you get to this point. Do you call the extraction when there's a lot of people there, or do you just kind of wait it out? My personal best bet is to wait it out if there's 5 to 6 people, because you'll have time, people will die, and it doesn't matter if you extract first, okay? Let's be real. At least for me, I don't care about my score. Personally, I don't. I care about my survival caches. So I take my time, and as how much medicine I have, I even it out, and I take my time. Now, if someone's extracting near me, will I go over there, try to kill them and take their loot? Absolutely, I will do that. But for extracting, I only call the extraction when I have 5 to 6 survival caches, and I know there's only 1 or 2 people left, and I know I can fend them off rather easily. As far as extractions, where do I extract? I usually extract at the DZ-02 extraction, because it's a rather simple area with multiple lanes of cover and a good opportunity to get headshots on the hunter. The other area I like is the extraction right next to the Crosswords boss, which is the one like right in the middle in DZ-05-ish area. I really like that area because it's one of those areas that are just like so open, but there's so many cars in the area to make cover to cover very useful and very efficient. As you'll see in the video, actually prior, you would see that like I actually sit on top of that truck, and I just sit there and I wait for them to come out. Now sometimes they'll come up behind you, the hunters, and at that point I literally just switch to the truck that's across the street, because there's another good one over there, and it's really useful to do. And again, guys, with hunters, do not rush them. Do not go after them like that. Sit back, time your shots, get the headshots. They will heal. And if they heal, they heal. Don't rush it. take your time. You have 3 minutes till the extraction comes. So, those are my tips, guys. Take your time. Like I said from the last video, take your time. And make sure you're on point with the landmarks. And don't rush anything. You have time on your side, guys. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I might be doing a part 3 if anyone else has questions or any suggestions or anything like that. So I'll definitely be glad to post that. Also, a new Mythbusters will be coming out sometime next week. I'll try to. School starting up again, so I'll try to get that out. Try to give me more myths, guys. I'm really trying to get another one out there. And yeah, guys, I'm going to be streaming a lot on Twitch. I'll be streaming daily from about 5 p.m. Central Time to 11 p.m. My bad. So yeah, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm TheRealOGnick, and I'm out. Have a good one, guys.